Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Volume 4, Episode number 2 of the original NFL Talk series, team-by-team previews. We are at Episode number 14. This is the 14th overall episode. We've gone through the AFC East, the AFC North, the AFC South, and now we're here in the AFC West. This is our 14th team-by-team preview coming up today. And coming up on the show, we are going to be previewing the up-and-coming team that is the Oakland Raiders, talking about where I think they're going to end up this season. Got a few notes to get to kick off the show, as usual. I have decided that all of the polls are going to be up until the end of August. So that's midnight on August 31st. Is when all of the polls from Google Plus that I've been sharing on Facebook and Twitter are going to end. Give you a couple of poll updates, and speaking of which, I will be having a few more polls for you guys that are going to be based off of this show. We'll be talking about the Raiders today, so I'll have some more Raider polls up on Google Plus, but some poll updates. Where does Andrew Luck come in your quarterback rankings for this year? 2% say number 1, 6% say top 3, 17% say top 5, 47% say top 10, and 29% say outside of the top 10. Over under 12,000 yards, 10 touchdowns for Lamar Miller. 28% say over, 72% say under. And the final poll, does Ryan Fitzpatrick look like a tennis ball? That's still up and going, and 32% have said yes, 68% have said no. So that's where we stand on polls. I personally really like the Ryan Fitzpatrick tennis ball poll. It's got 84 votes. But I'm not sure why more people didn't say yes. I think if you dyed his beard green, he may be actually mistaken for a tennis ball. Yeah. Also, yesterday, we released our second weekly Twitter follow. It's become a Monday staple for us here on the show. And yesterday's Twitter account to follow was at Tinos Music Show. He's the co-host of Youth News Radio along with me. And on Youth News Radio, we talk sports and music on his show, his podcast, at Tinos Music Show on Twitter. He talks all the latest in sports, or I always say sports, in music. He talks the latest in music. So you're going to want to check him out, at Tinos Music Show on Twitter, and you can check him out on Spreaker as well, is where he keeps all of the shows. So yesterday was the second weekly Twitter follow. It's become a Monday staple for us. And then finally, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, NFL Talk with Caleb Steindel. We've got over 80 Twitter followers, 30-plus members in the Google Plus community. I have 4 subscribers on YouTube. And I have 10 or 12 followers on both SoundCloud and Spreaker. But here's a fact. All of my podcasts from Spreaker and SoundCloud will eventually be deleted, sometimes as soon as a few weeks after, because of the storage limit that SoundCloud and Spreaker give you. However, they'll be up indefinitely on YouTube. So check them out on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting it constantly, is pretty much what I've been doing on social media. All right, let's dive into the Raiders today. And the Raiders are one of the 2 teams that I am, A, closely following, B, will probably be talking a lot about this season, and C, am secretly cheering for. The other team being the Jaguars. Because these teams have suffered for a while now. And I think that this is finally their breakout year for each team, both the Raiders and the Jaguars, respectively. I think we're going to see some explosion in terms of talent from both teams. We're talking about the Raiders today, and Derek Carr is a quarterback that for fantasy purposes is being drafted in a position that does not align with his talents. It does not align with what I think the kind of season he's going to have. He's currently the number 15 quarterback on ESPN. Number 15. I think at worst he's a sort of a back-end QB1. Because when you look at the receivers that surround him, I know I was talking about how I said the Jaguars had the best wide receiver duo in the league. The Raiders may be a close second. Haven't done actual rankings on them. Allen Robinson and Allen Hurns number 1. But the combo that is Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, they shined last year, and Cooper was just a rookie. Crabtree's going to be with the team for another 4 years. Cooper's stats last year, he caught 72 balls for 1,070 yards, scored 6 touchdowns. He had 5 games with 100-plus receiving yards. And then Michael Crabtree, coming in his first year with the Raiders last year, caught 85 passes. So an increase over Amari Cooper in receptions, just 922 yards. And scored 9 touchdowns. It's obviously more of a red zone guy, Michael Crabtree, than Amari Cooper. So I am stoked, if you will, to see the Raiders' offense in action this year. Because I think they've improved their defense even more. And with the Broncos stumbling, at least that's what it seems like. With the Broncos faltering just slightly, I'm expecting this is the year the Raiders will finally break out and have that solid season that we've been looking for. So yeah, Derek Carr is a solid back-end QB1. If you want to look elsewhere in fantasy, you want to look higher value running backs, wide receivers, Derek Carr, do not mind taking at all. News, however, worth noting that Carr was sacked 6 times. 6 times against Kansas City in their first preseason game. X-rays after the game were negative on a hand injury. He appeared to injure his hand in the game on a sack. So, good news on that front that the X-rays came up negative, but a situation that I would have said worth monitoring because you don't want a guy like Derek Carr going down. Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree both can be draftable as wide receiver number 2 on any team. Just gave you the stats. Amari Cooper is more of a big play guy. You look at Crabtree, he's more involved in the short passing game, but also a bigger red zone factor. If I had to pick one of them over the other, I would probably pick Amari Cooper. But I think that their stat lines, each of their stat lines this year, are going to be pretty identical. I'm looking at you look at the rest of the guys on the team, you don't see anyone who's going to be threatening them. It should be both high-end wide receiver 2s. Maybe not quite as high as wide receiver number 1. Who is Andre Holmes going to challenge him? Last year, Andre Holmes caught 14 passes for 201 yards. The crazy thing is he actually scored 4 touchdowns. It was kind of under the radar in that sense. The Raiders recently signed him to a 1-year deal. Recently, I say recently, but it was in March. Look, Andre Holmes is not going to do anything. Crabtree and Cooper are set up for incredible years. Both fantasy and statistically, which they align pretty much together. But Latavius Murray, the running back in this situation, Coach Jack Del Rio, obviously we got a new coach in the picture to keep an eye on, which is another reason I think the Raiders are going to shine this year. Coach Jack Del Rio said Monday that one of the Raiders' goals this season for Latavius Murray to finish with even more carries than he had last year. Murray's stats from last year: 266 carries, 1,066 yards, 6 touchdowns. But Murray is involved in the passing game as well. He caught 41 passes for 232 yards last year. Didn't score a receiving touchdown. But he's available for Derek Carr in check-down situations, which I think is going to be key to his success this year. Because he has that ability and that talent to take a 5-yard check-down pass 30 yards to the house, 30, 40, 50. He's just got that elusiveness and that ability, and I think we'll be seeing a lot of that this year from Latavius Murray. Another reason I like Latavius Murray is because you don't see any competition here. A lot of teams I've been talking about recently were, thinking the Jaguars, the Broncos, teams that are going to likely be going committee. I'm not seeing much competition for Latavius Murray here either. Is DeAndre Washington going to do anything? You got Taiwan Jones, Jameis Olawale, which I'm fairly certain is how you say his last name. But to be honest, I have no clue. Not that it matters, because Latavius Murray has got the number one job, and it's going to stay that way. There's all that coach speak about, we're going to let the second, third-string running backs play for the starting job. Not when Latavius Murray has had the season he had last year, has been exhibiting the kind of talent that he has. They're not going to give the starting job to DeAndre Washington, to Taiwan Jones. It's not happening. I get coach speak, but oftentimes it's just talk. Not worth paying attention to. The tight end last year that I owned for a few weeks of the fantasy season, helped me win a couple of games, was Michael Rivera. He caught 32 balls, 280 yards, and a touchdown. Not solid numbers, really. But he had a couple of weeks in there where he did put up some points. But reportedly, the Raiders are open to trading Michael Rivera because of the fact that they've got second-year man Clive Walford on the team. I'm interested to see what he can do, because there is competition here in the tight end position for the Oakland Raiders. Now, granted, Walford is unproven. Recently, the offensive coordinator of the Raiders, Bill Musgrave, said, quote, he wants tight end Walford to be quote, here's when the quote starts, to be a big part of what we do, unquote. And I think that, as a, in a sense, is coach speak, but I think that we'll definitely, with Michael Rivera looking to be on the trading block, we'll definitely see an uptick in looks for Clive Walford this season. Not ready to put him on the fantasy radar yet, but he's there. He's hanging around. Once you get past guys like Gronk and then Jordan Reed, Tyler Eifert, Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen, starts to drop off into one big shallow pool of tight ends, and Walford's sort of hanging around, maybe in that second tier, just below some of the other guys. Keep an eye on Walford. All right, time's ticking away. Record prediction: the Oakland Raiders go 11-5 and win the division. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but you look at their record last year, it was 7-9, so they're only going 4 more games won this year than last year, and I know in a sense that sounds far-fetched, but I think the Raiders are talented enough to do it. X factor here is Amari Cooper, because I expect to see big things from Derek Carr, expect to see big things from Latavius Murray, and I'm expecting big things from Amari Cooper too, but I think that he's going to have to prove himself again for the second year to see what he can do. I think that a lot of the team's success is going to be riding on him. That's why he's my X factor for the Oakland Raiders. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, to this episode of Team by Team Previews. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. And, yeah, peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.